make a decision that you want to rectify something or whatever it might be with someone. So you, by choice, come back to experience that karma and to rectify things because you think that there was something wrong with what you did in that previous lifetime. But in truth, it was just something that you did. And if you feel the need to have some closure there and to have turnabout being fair play so that you can experience what they experienced, you killed somebody, so you say, all right, you killed me in this lifetime so that I can experience what you experienced, and it happens in the same way. Then you've experienced your karma because you just want, out of curiosity, to have that experience. But it's not necessary. You don't have to experience it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Celeste Ball podcast. Today I am so excited and grateful to have this beautiful soul, Summer Bacon, transmedium for beautiful spirit, Dr. James Martin Peebles on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Summer.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and so excited, and it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the world. I love it. Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you so much for everything that you do. It's beautiful. I saw the video of yours 13 years back. I didn't even know internet was there 13 years ago, you know.
Oh, wow.
You were there.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize there was anything out there still. That's great.
Yeah, there were those videos, and, the messages that came through were also, it's just so timeless. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us, Summer, how did you get into channeling, and how did you venture into it? What led you to explore all of these metaphysical practices and finally, eventually embrace it the way that you have?
Oh my goodness. Well, I will try to put that in a nutshell. I was 11 months old when I knew I was here to do spiritual work. And I made a commitment. And my mom was taking a picture of me with one of those old Polaroid cameras. And I was standing out on the front lawn, and she said, "Smile, Summy, I'm going to take your picture." And I'm like, "No." And I'm thinking, "No, it's my picture. You can't have it." And as soon as she snapped the camera, I said, "Okay, I'm going to find out what this truth thing is about once and for all." And I could feel all these spirits around me. I mean, I didn't think of it as spirits. They were just friends, I guess, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's when I committed to doing the work. But I didn't know what shape that was going to take. And I really didn't think about it so much for the first part of my life. But I've always had, I saw spirits, I heard spirits, I had psychic experiences. When I was 17 years old, it really intensified. I would have prophetic dreams, and I would see things before they would happen in the world. And it was a lot for me. I was having out-of-body experiences. I didn't do drugs or anything, so it wasn't stuff like that was inducing that. It was just who I was. And fortunately, I had a really supportive family. My parents were fantastic. They probably could have locked me up, because of some of the things that I was seeing and hearing and feeling, but they were like, "Oh, that's cool. Tell us more," So they didn't squash that part of me at all. They just really nurtured and encouraged it. So anyway, I met Dr. Peebles through fast forward many, many years. I met Dr. Peebles through a transmedium named Thomas Jacobson, and I was just enthralled, and I was more interested in the process than I was in what Dr. Peebles was saying, oddly enough. I loved what he said. I thought it was beautiful. I resonated with everything that he was talking about. But I was just amazed by this man who would drop into trance and let this spirit use his body to speak. And I thought, how does he do that? And so it was something that I was just amazed by. And of course, I did talk to Dr. Peebles a few times through Thomas. And then Thomas quit channeling. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to lose my connection with Dr. Peebles. And I was also very afraid of demons. And I was really uncertain about, is God's love real? Is it constant? Is it there? Because if God's love is real and constant, then I should have nothing to fear because God will always have my back. So I really needed to know that God existed, and I wanted it to be tangible. I wanted it to be something that I could really feel was true in my life. And I also wanted to know that Dr. Peebles was real. And I thought, well, since Thomas quit, I decided I was going to go find Dr. Peebles. And I just, even with all of my experiences of seeing and hearing spirits and all the psychic experiences, this was not an easy process. It didn't just happen overnight. I looked for Dr. Peebles. I sat in a very dark room in my parents' house. We had a little recording studio in my parents' house. It was completely sealed. There was like literally lead between the doors and things like that because to seal it for soundproofing. And I sat in there in the dark and I asked Dr. Peebles to stand in the middle of the room, and I kept looking for him. And I just said, okay, you know I exist, but I don't know that you exist, so I need to look for you. So I just looked for him with my heart. And I did this every day for sometimes 4 hours a night when I'd get home from work. I put my baby to bed and I would sit down and I would look for Dr. Peebles. And eventually I saw an orb, a big bright magenta orb that showed up, and I thought, oh my gosh, is that you? And it got bigger, and that was a yes. And so I started asking yes and no questions of this orb. And then I eventually invited, I eventually got bored with that actually. And I said, well, I'm getting kind of bored. I don't know what else to do here. And the orb came over and flew up next to me, and I saw it and I went, oh my gosh, and I looked at it and I went to touch it and my hand disappeared into it. And then knowing that this was Dr. Peebles after, weeks of doing this conversation, this yes and no conversation with this magenta orb, that might sound really, I'm sure, very strange to people, but this is really what happened. I decided to ask it to come into my body because the type of channeling that I do is very physical. It's, I release my body to Dr. Peebles, and he uses my muscles, my vocal cords and everything to communicate. So I practiced like that. This went on for about 6 years, I think it was, that I worked with him almost on a daily basis and tried to release my body. It took forever. And eventually I ended up one day feeling really like a lot of pain in my back. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'd had back pain in between my shoulders for many, many years. But it was so intense that day. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How do I get rid of this? And I was in a panic. And my husband at the time was not the nicest man. He was very controlling. And he just said, oh, why don't you just go in your room and meditate? And I was like, okay. So I went into the bedroom and meditated. And which my big meditation was, I want to be healed now. That was it. That was my meditation. There were no ohms. There was no chanting. There was nothing. It was just like, I want to be healed now. I was very demanding. And I heard, go get your husband and bring him into the room. And so I went out and I said, you're supposed to come and watch me meditate, apparently. And I thought, there's no way he's going to come in. And he did. He said, oh, okay. So he came in, he sat down on the bed, and I said, okay, he's here. And I just suddenly, my head went back. And I could feel these words coming out of me. And I knew it was Dr. Peebles because he always opens with the same words, God bless you, Dr. Peebles here. So I went with it and let him say the words. And about an hour later, I came out of trance. And my husband was just sitting on the edge of the bed with his jaw on the floor. He just couldn't believe it because they had talked about things that I didn't even know about him. And so that was my very first time channeling. And then I channeled dearly departed loved ones for 3 years. All sorts of spirits came through, all sorts of spirits. And I did it for free. I had no desire to do this for a living. But there were a lot of dearly departed loved ones that came through for people. That was really neat because I would release my whole body to each one of them. They would come through with mannerisms that they had. If they were male or female, that my body would kind of shift to their size and shape. And if they played with their jewelry, they'd be doing that, playing with invisible jewelry that I didn't wear jewelry. And just so many things. It was so much, it was a great training for what ultimately became, finally one day, he said, that was my training. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah. He said, now I will be the only one to come through. And so for me, channeling has been a way to really know that God's love is real and constant. It was also a way for me, and has been a way for me, to step into other people's shoes and understand them from their perspective. People that I normally wouldn't love, I have been able to learn to love, to understand them. People who have maybe I wouldn't like if I met them, and I think they're kind of, have all my judgments against them. When you get to experience somebody from the inside out, it's a whole different thing. And now you understand why they are the way they are. So it really helped me with a lot of things in terms of acceptance of people and cultures and religions and all sorts of things that I never would have had without this. So I really did this for me. I mean, I really did. I just did it for me because I wanted to have the evidence that it was tangible to me. Nobody can take that from me. I don't care what anybody thinks about what I do. If they don't believe in it, then great. Then they know more about who they are, you know. But I know who I am, and I know this process very, very well.
Hey guys, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please make sure to support this channel. You can either subscribe to the channel, leave a like or a comment, or even share it with your family and friends. Apparently, it helps with the algorithm and I have no idea how that works. Also, I'm sending out weekly love notes where I'm sharing with you my own personal spirituality journey, and also will keep you posted on the upcoming community events that we have. We have a lot lined up for you. We've got group channeling events, Akashic record reading events, and a lot of such community events that I think you're going to absolutely love. All you have to do is go to www.celestevolve.com/love notes. Now let's get back to the video. You know, so one question is, when you are channeling, what's the difference between mediumship and channeling?
Well, there's lots of different types of channeling. Everybody, I believe, is a channel. That's my belief. Because, for example, you might wake up in the morning and think, oh, you know, you get an inkling that maybe something's going to happen, something silly, like, you know, I need to get a new tire today, you know, on my car. And then sure enough, you know, you go outside and you find that you have a flat and you go, how did I know that? Well, because all this information that's in the universe is available to all of us, but we're not taught that necessarily from birth. So there's lots of different types of channeling. There are people who are clairaudient, meaning that they can hear spirit and they deliver the messages by hearing spirit. And depending on how clear they are is how clear the message is. There are people who you know, do psychic readings, and they're reading kind of into the ethers, or some people call it the Akashic records, and reading that to talk about the future, the possibilities of the future or the past. And then there's mediumship. That is, you know, there's lots of wonderful mediums who talk to dearly departed loved ones on the other side and convey and relay messages to their loved ones on Earth. A lot of that, I think, is done through clairaudience, through being able to hear spirit telling them messages, and then they just speak it. The type that I do is transmediumship, which again is releasing my body to spirit and letting spirit use my body. It's a very physical process. It's very exhausting because my body's like a low voltage wire, and the energy of spirit is like high voltage coming through it. And afterwards, I'm just really tired afterwards. But I prefer doing it that way. I used to do psychic readings, and I used to, you know, I did the channeling of the dearly departed loved ones, where I was a little closer to it. I was more like a puppet. I could feel the things that were going on in my body. But with Dr. Peebles, I kind of move up and away and let him just take over. It's like, instead of me being a psychic and trying to figure out somebody and tune into them, why not just let him do it? Because he does it so quickly. It's just super easy. So, but like I say, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It's an easier way for you. No, it's okay. So you think that this is
in a
easier?
way? Yeah, I think so. I think so. And in a way it is. Yeah. It's just to let him kind of take the reins, and then I just hold the space for him to speak. And again, you know, every medium, every psychic is as good as they are clear. I say, like a bad channel is like a bad phone connection. You really have to be clear. You can't editorialize what's coming through. And if you're able to hear what's going to be coming through, it can be very challenging sometimes. Sometimes when I'm in trance, I'll hear the things that are going on kind of backstage, and they're saying, oh, we're going to talk about this, or we're going to talk about that. And I think, I wouldn't want to talk about that, or I won't, but okay, I'll let you do it. And then they'll talk about things that, like, sometimes I have really no knowledge of science and other stuff that's really not something that I'm really knowledgeable about. They'll say a lot of things that I learn from them as they speak through me. So it's an interesting process. It's a lot of fun. And it's tiring, but it's a lot of fun in terms of how it affects people's lives. And
yeah, I heard that you went through a near-death experience because of channeling, right?
Yes. Yeah, I forget what year that was, 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. I had been channeling a lot, like way more than anybody should. And because I had an institute, and so I was channeling about 9 times a week, and I really should only be doing it maybe maximum of once or twice, especially now. And apparently there was a study a friend of mine told me about, no, a medical doctor, a cardiologist told me about, that even a bad psychic uses more magnesium than a really, everyday person uses. And magnesium is one of those things that is key to keeping your heart beating. Well, I didn't know about this, and I woke up. Well, didn't wake up, but I was on my way out of my body, and I was going through this tunnel, and I was heading towards this light, and I suddenly realized I'm dying. And it was the most awesome thing. I was so excited.
Making you someone else.
Yeah, I was going through this tunnel, and it was like I was being pulled by this love that, if you've ever been in love and it's just, oh, I'm so in love, magnify that 100,000 times. It's love like you can't even fathom. This love was pulling me. And I remember thinking, as I'm going through this tunnel, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Well, my mom's not going to be very happy about that. And I thought, oh, well. And then I thought, what about my children? I thought, oh, well.
This is just too nice.
Yeah, it was just so beautiful. And then I got to the end of this tunnel, and this tunnel that I'm in, it's like a tube. And there's this huge cavern of light that I saw. And of all things, this was most interesting to me because I was not raised Christian. But at the end of this tunnel, this big cavern of light, there was Jesus standing there with his arms outstretched. And I knew it was Jesus. Now, and I've got other things I can tell you about that, but I knew it was Jesus. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going home, and this is for real, and it's Jesus. And so I'm going towards him, and he just takes his arms and he goes, nope. And he pushes, and he says, not your time, and pushed me. And I tumbled back into my body and woke up, and I just cried. I cried. I was like, oh no. I was so upset that I had to come back. It was just, but it changed my life. I know I've heard a lot of near-death experiences from people who they say they came back and it changed their life on earth in a positive way. And I have to be honest, for me, it's like, I want to go home. I know I have work to do here, but I have zero fear of death. I mean, zero. I know how beautiful it is and how loving it is. And, but yeah, it was interesting that it was Jesus. Not that it would be that way for everybody. I think we all, whatever our belief system is, will take us to wherever we think we're going to go. I didn't necessarily have a preconceived idea of that when I die, I'm going to go see Jesus or something. That was not, so that's kind of took me aback. But I did have a couple of encounters with him in my life, which was he saved my life on one occasion, very, very literally. And then I became a born again Christian for a while, which was really not a good thing. my family and friends, I really drove them crazy. It was a little out there, and I finally left the church, and God really, I really had a very clear reason why I left the church, and then later on. I saw Jesus one time when I was in my abusive marriage. I wanted to die, and but I didn't want to leave my children. But I didn't know how to get out of the marriage. I knew if I tried that he might kill us all. And so I was like, I had heard of this thing called walk-in, and a walk-in is a spirit that supposedly walks into a living person and takes over basically their life, not
it's
their
like a
life,
swap,
but just
right?
It's a swap. Yeah, exactly.
Of the souls.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't know if I believed it. I was only I'm 64. I was 36 at the time. And I was very naive about a lot of things. And I thought, well, if there's a walk-in, I wonder if there's anybody out there who'd be willing to do that and take over the, role of being mother to my children and everything. Well, it was real. I went to bed that night and I started rolling out of my body, and there was this other spirit that was coming in as a female spirit. And at that moment, I went, "Oh, whoa, 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 wait, no, 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 no."
I was just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, you have no permission to be here. And she left, very easily left. And I sat up in bed and I was like, "Whoa, what did I just do?" And I looked up, and at the foot of my bed, there's Jesus standing there. And again, I have no preconceived ideas. I wasn't raised as a Christian. I wasn't like, oh, he's supposed to look this way or that way. There was this beautiful, all I can say is a beautiful being of light who was all bright white and golden and blue, like kind of this blue. From the ceiling to the floor was this light, and then this very tall man being. And he's standing there, and of all things, he's wearing a white robe with a golden sash. And I'm like, this is just too out of Hollywood here. And, I guess I just thought, I don't know. And I look in his eyes, and his eyes are like these, like if you could take the planet Earth, the beautiful blue orb of the planet Earth, and make that your eyeballs. That's what it was like. It was just like you could see forever in his eyes. And the love was amazing. And he told me, he said, I love you, Summer. You will be out of this marriage in 6 months. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I said, I love you too. And then he just went, just disappeared. And the process started 6 months later of me getting out safely.
Wow, I'm out of
Yeah.
words for that. I do remember you talking about, the moment where you drove in a car and out of that. Have you done these past life regressions or anything like that? And do you know
Oh, yeah.
what? Oh, you have. Okay, so what was the sign? So did you have a bond with your ex-husband? Like, what's your purpose in this lifetime right now?
Yeah, well, not from the past life regression so much, but yeah, I came in with it's not been an easy journey, but it has been fascinating. I've really had an interesting life, I have to say, as a mystic, and in the things that I've seen and heard and felt in my life. But with my husband, it was interesting because when I met him, I was still talking to Dr. Peebles through Thomas Jacobson, and he said that we were a split soul. He didn't explain what that was. And I thought, oh, a split soul. So maybe we're coming back together. So I really thought maybe this is wonderful. It's a reunion, right? Well, after I got out of the marriage, Dr. People said, no, 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 no. That's not what a split soul is. They're split for a reason. Like complete opposites, just,
Oh,
that it wasn't meant to be,
right.
and I said, oh, so, but, yeah, so, but also my husband was instrumental in helping me become the trans medium that I am. I admit that, because I was so afraid of him that when I started channeling, he was a scientist. He had a scientific mind, and he wanted to test the channel. So he would read books, and he would that I had never read, like about like the Mormon Church, or he read a book about Edgar Casey. I didn't know who Edgar Casey was. I was really naive about a lot of stuff, and he would say, "You need to go into trance now." And it's like, "Oh, okay, okay." So I would go into trance immediately, drop into trance, do it, do it, do it, whenever he asked, and it sometimes was several times a day. And he would test the channel. He would test and test and test, and he would always get the answers. The correct answers would come through. So he pushed me really hard, and I was running a graphic design company at the time, and I was working 16-hour days sometimes with that. And then I'd channel again. And it was nonstop. And I would channel dearly departed loved ones for people who asked. And he'd be like, oh, you need to do that now. I'm like, okay, I'll do it now. And, I wasn't getting paid for
Wow.
this or anything. I just did it. So that was my training. It was like boot camp. It was a lot, but
That is really
it,
traumatizing.
it was, in a way it was, but like I say, I was so naive, and I was very shy, and I don't think I ever would have been doing this work, ultimately, for the world, if I hadn't been pushed that hard. I'm a really reluctant trans medium. I mean, I really, you won't find me a lot on social media or anything, because of the fact that I'm not that way. I'm not like, oh, I've got to put this out there, and me, look at me. I'm the great trance medium or something. I'm not, I just don't have that drive. I don't have it. So I'm constantly being pushed. I will tell you, Tanya, that I was saying a prayer to God, and I said, because I don't know what to do next right now with the work. And I said, I don't know where this is going. I'm 64. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I said, do I just go out and get a day job, or what am I supposed to do? And I said, because the only thing that I would like is if we could just bring these messages to the broader, world, these beautiful, loving messages, and maybe somehow, help people, and perhaps help in some small way bring about world peace. Not that I have any great aspirations, but but it's like, and I said this prayer, and then I just was like, yeah, well, okay. And I got up and I went to do something, and I heard, you're going to get an offer. And it was as loud as could be. And I'm like, an offer? I want an offer for what? And the next morning, I got your email inviting me to be on your show. And I was
Oh,
like, whoa, and the broader reach and everything in the world. I was just so, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know how to respond. I was so dumbstruck. It was so beautiful.
I
So
can't believe
that's
that.
why I'm so excited to be here.
I mean, that's beautiful. Because when I messaged you too, I felt like this sort of instant connection when you responded back. It's like I already became friends with you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just started chatting by email and talking about what's happening there, what's happening here. And that's one of the most, it's beautiful. Recently, my cousin, I don't, I don't, I don't channel the way you do or the way my guests do, but I just want to feel that, like how you said that you wanted to, like channeling feels so tangible to you. It's like the sort of proof that God exists, and my cousin was also asking me, why are you so drawn to it? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just for no reason. It's not about making money, it's not about fame, it's just nothing. It just feels so real, like it's that's just how it is. And when you say that you're also at this crossroads, right, you don't know how it is, how it plays out, when you look back now and you think about all that you've done with channeling, because you've been doing it for so many years, right? do you know do you know if this was like a soul contract for you? It's just what you came for, or what's going to happen next? Are you going to reincarnate again on earth? Are you going to be a guide later on?
I would like, if I would like to I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I would like to reincarnate again. I'd like to have a do-over a little bit with my life. Just do some things differently. But yeah, and I would love to be a guide. I would love to work with Dr. Peebles and the band of angels that he works with, and from the other side, and continue working with the earth. I'm not really sure why, like if it's a soul contract that I came in with, but I'm pretty sure it was something like that. I think I knew what I was getting myself into, and I volunteered for a pretty big, thing in my world anyway. So, and that's why I was, I've gone into it kicking and screaming, like, oh, what have I done? What did I agree to do? Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think I did. And also I do know about a previous life that I had where beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know I was this woman who was this actress. She was famous during her time, and
Wow.
she wasn't the nicest
Hmm.
person. She was a nice person, but she was with a lot of men, and she was with a lot of married men, and she did a lot of things. She was more about money and fame and her looks and all this stuff, which is just the absolute antithesis of who I am. I couldn't, other than maybe saying, oh, maybe I want to make sure you don't see all this on the Zoom thing or something, but it's just sort of the antithesis of who I am. I'm not driven by those things at all. And, I'm just kind of, out to help people. And I think I'm definitely rectifying a lot of stuff. I think I've gone through a lot of karma in this lifetime. I really, really have experienced a lot of that in this lifetime, which I do believe was part of my relationship with my husband. I've been married 4 times, so I believe there was a lot of karma within those relationships as well, and others that I've had. So Uh, it's been something.
They say that in this lifetime, apparently this is one of a kind lifetime where everyone gets to deal with all of their past lives and integrate it and deal with their karma and all of that, and that's why life is more difficult. When you think about it like that, do you think we have, I mean, do you feel like you have been able to integrate all of that? And um, like, do you think there's anything left? Because you know what I thought that people who can channel, they have already dealt with their karma, and because now they're of some
Mm.
high vibration now, so they've
Yeah,
already
yeah, I
dealt with it.
understand.
So I thought that there won't be anything left for them, and next they can be guides or
Hmm.
ascended masters. But then you said that you were being asked to channel like at gunpoint kind of thing, not exactly gunpoint, but
Yeah.
like that. So that's in no way high vibration, right? So how does this work? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've had people say to me, like in relationships, "Oh, you think you're so spiritual?" It's like, no, I don't think I'm so spiritual. I am spiritual. I am a mystic. I have had this stuff happen to me all my life, but it does not make me any better than anybody else. I just don't believe that. And Dr. Peebles teaches that there is no hierarchy. So when people talk about ascended masters or anything that sounds hierarchical, he just says, think about the ascended master that you are. He'll like just point it back right at you. Like we're seeking all of those things that we think are out there and somebody else is, and they're so perfect. We seek it out in the world when the journey is to go inside of ourselves and find it within ourselves. We each have that ability. And as I said, we each have the ability to channel. It's just a matter of how much you want to develop that muscle, basically, in your life, how much you work on it. I worked on it really hard. I mean, I really have worked very hard to do what I do. It did not come easy. Not like I just popped into trance one day. I worked very hard on myself, and I continue to work hard on myself. And another thing that Dr. Peebles says is there's no there's no limit to growth. So if somebody is saying, I'm an ascended master, I've attained enlightenment, what he will always say is like, now that you're enlightened, what are you going to do next? Because
Yeah,
there's
I
really
read
no,
that.
there's
Yeah.
no there to get to. It's you just, you just keep growing. So I don't see it as anything, exclusive for me to have experienced a lot of karma in my life has only helped me. It's that would that which does not kill me makes me stronger, and I do believe that there's I don't know if a lot of people really realize, a friend of mine pointed out the meaning of being stoned to death. The actual origin of that phrase means to be torn down, to be rebuilt closer to God. And so spiritual seekers can often feel like they are being torn down. Like, I know this might sound really simplistic, but I can't go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. I'm just not allowed to. If I try to even do that, there's going to be a police officer right around the corner. I can't get away with anything. I can't lie. I have to, I'm constantly being, put in line. And it's like that old thing of the, the gate to heaven, or the pathway to heaven, is very narrow because you're being squeezed. You're getting all that other junk off of you that it doesn't, there's no place for it. And you end up, having a lot of challenges. I mean, a lot of the people I know who are some of the most beautiful spiritual teachers I've ever met in my life are constantly being put through the ringer, so I, I think it's really, one of the things I can tell you is when I've taught channeling, I'm very hesitant to do that anymore because people are always constantly asking, when am I going to go into trance? And it's sort of like somebody who wants to be a concert pianist saying, when am I going to be a concert pianist? Well, are you doing your practice? Are you practicing? Do you have the fingers to do it? I mean, there's so much to it. It's not like, spirit's just going to jump into your body and you're going to just suddenly be channeling up a storm and be some celebrity or something. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. It's what we do for ourselves and our own personal growth. And then if other people benefit from that, hallelujah, that's great. But, I did it for me. I did it for me. And some people resonate with it, some people don't. And that's okay. We don't always all have to, believe the same things and go down the same path. I think we eventually all, no matter what journey we're on, we get to the same destination, which is love. I think that is the ultimate goal. This is a school called Planet Earth. We choose to come here. It's the toughest school in the universe. And we have all kinds of ways in which we can learn to love and be loved. And we can do it through all sorts of avenues. We learn about it through all sorts of things. Every single one of us, the worst among us that we might think are just terrible people, they're just learning, they're just growing. They don't understand. We all make mistakes. And as Dr. Peebles says, there are no mistakes, really. There is only growth. And if you really think about it, it's true. We always, think if you learn from your mistakes, so-called, then you're just growing. You're just a growing being.
Yeah, there are no mistakes, Jen. We do learn at every step of the way. There's always something to learn. It's about, what am I going to learn? What is it for me? What is it doing for me? Um, you know, I wanted to ask you about, what do you think are the purpose of romantic relationships right now? Like, do you think we even need to, like, what's the purpose of marriage now? Do we even need it? Is it just for karmic purposes and get like, deal with it? What is it for?
You know, having been married 4 times, just I can only speak really from what I've learned about it. I do believe sometimes it can be karmic working out. But there was one point where I was like, I've been married 4 times. Why? And I was the last person who wanted to be married 4 times. I wanted one marriage. I wanted one relationship from the time I was very little. And it didn't work out that way for me. And I thought, why didn't it? And, in some ways, I think we marry a part of ourselves that we need to really look at and really examine. And that might sound strange. And that's coming from someone who had a couple of extremely abusive marriages. But I
Yeah.
can say that if that was a reflection of me,
Hmm.
I'm really hard on myself. I really
Yeah.
berate and belittle myself a lot. And I've done it a
Hmm.
lot in my life, not so much anymore, but I've been extremely hard on myself. So I felt, I think, in retrospect, I believe I felt that I deserved that kind of scrutiny and that kind of badgering and that I wasn't worthy. And it taught me to finally realize that I am worthy and I'm a good person and I'm doing the best I can. And so there's a lot to be learned from marriages, but I do think that you're marrying part of yourself. There's something that it is showing you about you. Now that's just my perspective. There could be 8,000 zillion people out there who would disagree. And, people who found their soulmates, great. Then that's fantastic. I think that's beautiful. They've married the part of themselves, found their whole self or something.
Yeah. I understand because I've also been divorced. So when I look back now, there was a time where I felt that I didn't deserve a good relationship. You get it? Like, as in, there's that part where you feel like I'm not worthy of, because there was a lot of pressure, in Indian communities. It's like, okay, this is the time frame. Everyone has to get married. So it's like, I more than the person, it was more to do with the time. At this age, I need to get it. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not worthy for that one. Maybe not this. So it just keeps going down, 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 and then you just pick someone. So when you say that we are picking someone who's reflecting the kind of value that you give yourself, it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense now.
Well, it's like one of the things Dr. Peebles talks about is through your choices and perceptions, you create your own reality. And it's like, well, why would I want to create that reality? Well, I chose to marry these men. I chose to be with them, and I also ignored that little voice within me that said, "Don't do it. Don't go there. This is not. You don't want. It's like somebody tells you, don't go into that. Into the bramble and the briar because you're going to get all cut up, and there's scary monsters in there, and you say, oh no, there's not. I can do this, and you go in, and then oops. But I think that there's a lot of that where we make these decisions, but I do kind of want to say something because as someone who has gone through a lot of abuse, I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, so you just, you picked the wrong guy. Maybe next time you'll make a better decision or a better choice." But I can tell you that there are a lot of people who are very, very good at
Mm.
presenting themselves as one person and not revealing their true self
100%.
until later on. And so it's not that I chose wrong. I loved. Is there something wrong with me falling in love with anyone? Why would that be the wrong? I found value and beauty and light and possibilities within the men that I was with. I loved that each one of them dearly. But then they didn't live up to my expectations of what I thought they were going to be like. And that's where it fell apart. I thought, oh, I can change them or I can help them or, I saw the possibilities there that they could live up to, but they weren't ready to live up to it. So I was seeing the potential of the light within these people, falling in love with that rather than what they were actually putting on the surface. And if somebody tells you they love you and they're going to, support you and they want to be a father and they, and it's like, oh, really? Oh, we have the same ideals in life. And then you get married and then that goes away. That's a toughie, but I would not blame anyone for their choice of mate. If they truly love them, love is never wrong. That's just my belief.
If you were in India, nobody would have said that to you.
Yeah.
In India, we would say, yeah, we know he's not that good of a guy, but then you're married, so you've got to deal with it. Look at us. We've been married for 50 years. See, he's such a bad person, but I stayed by his side. So no one would have said anything to you if you were here. They would have applauded you, given you all the trophies. You would have been the perfect
Oh,
person in India.
oh,
Especially if you get abused and you stay in the marriage.
yeah.
I guess my YouTube channel, like all the Indians would probably say shit about me. But this was in the past. No, even even now, I have friends who message me, not friends, like in UK, girls who message me saying that my husband he's abusing me, he's dragging me by the hair, abusing me, hitting me in front of my child, and she's like, I told this to my parents, and my parents asked me to compromise, as in
Yeah.
to stay with the guy. So this is the kind of way people talk in this part of the world and in our community. So it
Yeah.
takes a lot
Well,
of courage.
yeah, oh my gosh. Well, um, it was after my marriage, the one I was talking about, the man who worked with me when I was, a trans medium. When I got out of that marriage, I went to my mother's house. I escaped, got over there, and one of my friends came over to the house, and she said, "So are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm not." I said, I've been abused, for a long time, but I haven't said anything about it." And she said, "Well, can't you just pretend that everything's okay and stay in the
Hmm.
marriage and just pretend
Oh,
everything's okay?" And I said, "I've been pretending everything's okay for 9 years."
yeah,
And it's just, and I thought, so it
yeah.
happens here too in America.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Welcome to India.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really.
it's
It's
there.
interesting.
Yeah, it's fine. You understand, because for them, what they think is that if they say to leave the marriage, then they're afraid that you would then seek their help, and they would have to take care of us. And I understand I understand from their side as well, and it's okay. It's made us stronger. It's made all the women stronger, and we learn from it. Can you tell us about Dr. Peebles? Can you tell us what you know about him? And he's just such a fascinating person. I never thought someone who died recently, like from what I understand, Dr. Peebles died in 1922 at the age of 99, and he traveled the world 5 times. He's this brilliant person. He attained enlightenment during his transition. So I thought that ascended masters or someone like that is like from a long time back. Is Dr. Peebles called an ascended master?
No, he would never. He would
No?
never. I don't
Oh.
know. He again because he's not about any kind of hierarchy.
Hmm.
So he was a spiritualist minister on
Hmm.
earth. He was a channel, and he was a medical doctor and a naturopath, and he was a U.S. consulate to Turkey. He was a benefactor to many, many people. He helped children. He helped a lot of people who didn't have anything. He gave everything to anybody who needed it. When he traveled the world, he traveled, can you imagine, by ship around the world 5 times. And he didn't stay in the fancy suites. He stayed in the bowels of the ship with the people who were poor and sick, and he ministered to them, and he took care of them and healed them, brought them back to good health. He was a tremendous man on earth. He says through me, he says I was a bit of a stuffed shirt, which he was apparently. He was very controversial in his life on earth. He was against vaccinations. He wrote a book about that. He gave his books to his publishers, and they made the money on him. He wasn't doing it to make money. He was out to just speak his truth. And he always says, there was a poem he wrote, and part of it was, "Speak thy truth if thou knowest it, and let it jostle whom it may." And that's the way he is. He just will say it like it is. And if you don't like it, he goes, "That's okay. You don't have to like it." He doesn't care. He just speaks his truth, and he lets us make our own decisions. So he was a tremendously beautiful man on earth, and he really wanted to live to be 100 years old, but he died 4 days shy, I think it was, of his 100th birthday. So,
Do you think he picked that one as well? Like 99, not 100. He would have picked that, right?
I don't know. I suppose it was to show, he learned something from that, to find out that it wasn't necessary to live to be 100 years old.
Yeah.
It was his big thing that he was going to live to be 100 years old, and he was determined to do that. And I think that was the one thing that was like maybe one of his points of pride that he didn't get away with. It's like, no, it's not going to work that way. We're going to pull the plug a little early, so he could see, like, oh, well, that's true. It doesn't really matter. When it's your time, it's your time. You just go. And
how do you communicate? So how do you communicate with Dr. Peebles? Because when you're speaking, when Dr. Peebles takes over your body, you don't remember what he says, right? So let's say you are going through a difficulty, then how do you communicate with him?
Yeah, well, I do remember some things sometimes, and it's not always. If you were to talk to me right after a session about something that he said, I might be like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember that," but it just disappears, sort of like a lucid dream that you think you're going to remember, and then it disappears. But when I talk to him, I just talk to him. I get up in the morning, hi, and just like when I said, I need. This is literally how I pray. God, Dr. Peebles, I don't know what to do with my life. I really don't, and if I could do something, I'd want to bring Dr. Peebles' messages to the broader world. And I don't know how to do that. I don't even know if it's possible. And then the next day you email me. And that's the way I pray. And I just say, however that happens, thanks, guys. I'm not like into a lot of ritual and things like that. It's not something I do. It's who I am. So I might be praying while I'm, or talking to Dr. Peebles while I'm doing the dishes. Sometimes I hear him loud and clear, and he will tell me some things to do. It's really funny. It's like, this might sound silly, but I went to get a glass of water to put on the table so I'd have it here during the interview. And I thought, no, I'm just going to use one of the plastic kid cups because I don't want it to make a noise when I put it on the table, like a clunk.
Yeah.
So I go to get that and I start to fill it with ice, and I hear, "No, you need a glass." Like, really? Why? And they're like, "Oh, because it gets imbued with our energy." And it does. Water will get imbued with the energy. And they wanted me to have this for my refresher after I, go into trance or talk to you. And so I just follow orders. I just do what they say, unless I don't want to. I don't. People say, well, like one time Dr. Peebles wanted me to do this group session thing. And I said, no, I don't feel like it. And everybody goes, "You said no to him?" And I said, yeah. They don't want us to ignore ourselves and our own feelings. If I did it because it was doctor's orders, then I'd be, I wouldn't be honest, and it wouldn't come out right. It wouldn't work, and so I'm just very honest with him, and so I do hear him though. Like I say, when he wants to get my attention, he says it loud and clear. He really does.
Oh, so when you are talking to him, can you see him? Like, do you see him? Does he look like what he looks like in the photos, or what do you see?
Sometimes he's more of a feel. I feel him around me. I can feel the largeness of him. He's very, very large. And when I first started channeling him, I was like, "Is this for real?" I mean, I was just so like amazed. Like I said, "Are you?" this is really you, Dr. Peebles? One day I was driving home from the store, middle of the day, and this huge cloud was over the mountain by my house. And it was exactly the picture of Dr. Peebles that you would see on my website. I mean, it was like somebody painted it in the sky. And I just went, oh my goodness. And I can just feel that love and that, that he's there. I do see him every once in a while. When my mom was passing away, in 2012, she became very childlike at the end, and she was seeing somebody in the room and she was speaking to them. It was just, that my daughter and I couldn't see him. My daughter said, Grammy, who are you talking to? She said, oh, she said, they're all here. And my daughter
Oh,
said, who? And she said, my mommy, my daddy, Dr. Peebles, and
oh,
Jesus. And her dog,
oh.
whatever her dog's name that she loved so much, was there. And then she mouthed to them, she said, yes, I'm ready. And then she passed away not long after that. So it was, and I did see
Hmm.
Dr. Peebles with her before that. And he was very clear in my mind as I see him, in the older pictures of him. And he said, I will be there to escort your mother across. And I was like, oh. And I said that to my daughter. I said, Dr. People said he's going to escort your mother across, escort Grammy across to the other side. And my mom was in sort of a comatose state, and she popped awake and she said, oh, I've been waiting for him. It was so sweet. It was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, he makes his presence known. Do you want to meet him?
Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely. I would love to. I love speaking to you too. Usually, when I'm speaking to guests, usually, time just, it's like sometimes I connect more with the person with the entity that the guest is channeling.
Oh,
But with you, I feel like I can just go on talking. It's just so
oh, you're
wonderful
so
to
sweet.
speak to you.
Oh, this music to my ears. You have no idea. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
I mean, I love to share because I've got so many experiences with so many different things. And, I've been
Yeah.
really, really blessed in that with the, extraterrestrial encounters and ghosts and ghost busting and, so many things. It's been
There's
really
so
fun.
much.
And
I know. I know.
yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
about all the things that you've done. Oh, by the way, did you know that even when Buddha, when he was born and even before he could start walking, he was also saying that, okay, I have had 500 something incarnations, and in this incarnation, I'm going to find out what's the truth. Because that's what I
Oh,
remembered when you said, yeah, when you said at 11 months old, you said that I'm going to find out the truth this incarnation. So apparently he was
oh,
also saying that. So
wow. I did not know that. How
yeah,
cool. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
there
Yeah.
are these stories of that. So
Oh
it's
my
cool. It's
gosh.
just fun. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I have not. One thing I didn't do when I started channeling is I stopped reading
it's good.
anything,
Mm.
and I stopped watching the news. So I didn't know anything about anything, it's because I wanted to be as clear as I could possibly be. So I never read spiritual books, or I never had a teacher. I'm self-taught. So it's interesting when I hear little tidbits like that. It's like I didn't know that. I never read that anywhere. But I can feel
Yeah.
him here if you want to say hi, and you're welcome to ask him questions
Oh,
if you want.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask
Okay.
you before
Yeah.
that, because you said that he takes over your body, right? Is there like a
Yeah.
time that I should keep in mind where I should
No,
stop?
no, he'll say. He'll let you
Oh,
know.
he will let
Yeah.
me know. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So,
Um,
yeah,
cool.
so he'll
Yeah.
just let you know when it's time to allow, he says, our little channel to return.
So
So,
what's your process? Yeah, I hear that. It's so cute when he says, can I get the little channeler? And then the guest would
yeah.
say, no, we have one more question, one more question. It's like, no, the little channeler is so
Has to
cute.
go.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your process
Well,
like?
there was a Krishna Madapa was this Indian guy who wanted to test me
Oh, test
using
you. Okay.
using this computer equipment before, during, and
Okay.
after the session, and he was able
Mm.
to record before the session. If you think about like a gingerbread man, it was like the blue line of a gingerbread man was my energy. And as I started
Okay.
going into trance, this red line went around it on the outside of it. And as I went into trance, the red line went into the blue line. So that's like spirit coming
Wow.
in. And at the end of the session, that red line became so small at the center. And he goes, And that is when you're near death. I said, whoa,
Oh.
okay. So that's why he says it's time for the channel to return. I was like, okay, now that makes
Oh,
sense. Now I know why I'm so tired.
that's such an interesting study. I think you should. Where can they find it? Where can the audience find it? This is like so cool.
I lost track of it. I used to have it on my website. I will see if I can find it again. And he used to have a website where he had it posted and everything with all the information there. It was really interesting. And
Wow.
but I yeah, and it, I just I had it on my website. I had all the pictures and everything, all the graphs and stuff. But I can't find it. But I'll try.
That's okay. The
Yeah.
internet we'll find it out. So let's check it
Yeah,
out.
maybe so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right. So let's
when
get
I
started.
go into trance, I just go. So I don't do anything major. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into trance and enjoy.
All right.
God bless you, Dr. Peebles here. It is a joy and a blessing when man and spirit join together in search of the greater truths and awareness. God bless you indeed, my dear friends, as you strive to understand your right to receive and to give abundance in this your chosen lifetime. We would like to offer to you the following principles to be used as tools in tandem. Number one, loving allowance for all things to be in their own time and place, starting for yourselves. God bless you indeed. Number two, increase communication with all of life and with respect. God bless you indeed. Number three, self-responsibility for your life is a creative adventure, for through your choices and perceptions, you do indeed create your own reality. God bless you indeed, my dear friends. You have come to this school called Planet Earth to discover and dissolve the illusions of separation within self and between life. Certainly it is your labor of love to diminish these very same illusions, wherein you will discover that never in your eternal soul have you been the victim, but always the creator. And God bless you indeed, my dear friends, beautiful creators, students of the divine, so many of you around the world, suddenly joining together in your heart. You love each other so very much at your core. You want to be together because you are one family exploring yourselves in a variety of ways. My dear friends, you share so much at the core that is exactly the same. The love within you, the desires within you to grow, to create, to procreate as well. God bless you indeed, my dear friends. You have a variety of ways in which you can explore this in the world. And you, my dear friends, there is not one way in which it is better than the other. Not one way which is wrong. It's just your way. How are you going to do it when you wake up in the morning and greet the world? How are you going to engage with it? That is your study of yourself, my dear friends. It is all about you because you live with you all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year after year, and sometimes lifetime after lifetime. God bless you indeed. So, my dear friends, remember that you are an eternal soul. Eternal, meaning that when you leave this earth, you will explore things in other places. You might come back to the earth again. You might explore other dimensions. You might enjoy the exploration of other planets and other ideologies and such. But upon this school called Planet Earth, you are each and every one, no matter what culture, what religion, what, if you will, desires that you have in your life. You are here to learn to love and be loved. What does that mean to you? And we're not talking about sexuality. We're talking about love, the true, the greater love of God. God, my dear friends, who is the Father of all children on the planet Earth, one family together, not separate, not better than anybody else, just one family. Look around you, my dear friends, and you have a huge, beautiful family. Fall in love there, and that is what will eventually bring about the world peace that so many of you desire to have. God bless you indeed. You are beautiful spirits in a study of self upon this school called Planet Earth. Enjoy it, but strive not to change others. Let them be who they are. Have the dignity and the respect to allow for others to have their lives the way that they desire to do it. And if they don't resonate with you, then turn away, my dear friends, and go elsewhere. Find people of like mind and like heart. Enjoy, celebrate the way that you want to celebrate life upon this school called Planet Earth. You are beautiful spirits. We love you so very much. And goodness gracious, my dear Tanya, you're a beautiful spirit. We love you so very much. Goodness, you are doing some wonderful work here upon this school called Planet Earth through your heart, through your willingness to share, to care, beyond your wildest dreams and imaginations. There's nothing holding you back. You came popping out of the womb, getting ready to get into the world and do all that you can to nurture. Nurturing is your, if you will, specialty. You love to nurture the people of the world no matter what. You have the greatest sensitivity towards people who are hurting in a variety of ways. Even when they are hurting others, you say, well, they must be hurting themselves. You can always see the other side of the situation. And that is the beauty and the wonder of you, my dear. You're doing beautiful work. We thank you so very much for shining your light so brightly, so courageously in the world. God bless you indeed. You are a beautiful spirit and you have a long way to go yet. You're going to have a glorious journey, and God bless you indeed. Yes, my dear, love does exist out there for you, with someone who's going to come into your life and be very, very special to you, precious to you, who will understand you, care for you, but not, my dear friend, find ways to manipulate you, but rather to embrace you, truly embrace you with the heart, not necessarily through enclosure. God bless you indeed. Do you understand, my dear? And we love you so very much. God bless you indeed. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Peebles, for coming through.
You are very welcome. It's a delight. It's a pleasure. Why, goodness gracious, we have this joyful opportunity to engage with humanity. God bless you indeed. It's so beautiful, yeah?
Dr. Peebles, my question is, you mentioned in the Summer had mentioned in the book that you attained enlightenment during your transition. Can you tell me what that was like, and what does enlightenment even mean?
Yeah, well, it was glorious. What I discovered in that process of leaving my body was all that I was seeking was right there inside of myself. That was the enlightenment that I was seeking. I thought it was outside, but it was inside. You see, you're seeking love on the earth, to love and be loved. Well, my dear friends, it starts with yourself, to love self and to be loved by self, and then extend that to others. It's happening right here and now already inside of you, but some of you are just not yet awakened to it. So you think that your enlightenment is outside of you, but it's inside. So as I was leaving my body, I was rather, shall we say, in an excruciating pain towards the end of my life with rheumatoid arthritis, and my hands were rather curled up, and I was curled up in the fetal position on my bed, and it was excruciating. It was not a delightful moment for me at all. And part of me was a little angry. I thought, well, after everything I've done, me, what have I done for the world? So very much. And now here I am in this terrible pain. And then suddenly somebody whispered in my ear and said, that's an illusion. And I thought, an illusion? How could that possibly be an illusion? And I was told, let us show you here. And so I left my body very, very gently, and suddenly realized that it was just a body. It was like dropping a coat of this human form. And suddenly there I was in spirit, but still to myself very tangible. Just as you feel yourself, I felt myself, but I had no pain. And I suddenly realized that I was dropping this coat of the human form, of the ills, of the belief in death, of the belief in separation, in the belief that I might be better than somebody else, in the belief that others might be better than me, in the belief that I was what I was doing rather than just being a human being. I learned so much in that process of transition. It was remarkable. And I had a tremendous variety of guides and friends on the other side, of course, who helped me in that transition. And I was wondering, well, can I go back to the earth? And they said, well, you know something? You're quite complete now that you desire to go back. And they said, perhaps you would like to join us in helping those upon the school called Planet Earth to keep their light shining brightly. And I thought that was the most beautiful offer I ever could have been made. And so I've been working with the Band of Angels for ever since. And it's been an absolute delight, an absolute pleasure to work with the many rather than the few. Human beings are a little bit of a conundrum to us sometimes, because you have so many ways in which you try to wriggle free from love. You try to escape it. You don't want to, if you will, share your light with the world. You're terrified of doing it sometimes. And we got to be pretty creative over here to help and to assist, to guide you and direct you in your life's work, because we can't do it for you, but we can certainly point the way. God bless you indeed. And that's the tip of the iceberg. But does that help, my dear? That's a beautiful question. Thanks so very much for asking. Yeah.
Dr. Peebles, when you say you're helping others, when you're helping the people on the planet, I know that Summer Bacon channels you, but do the other people also know, whoever's receiving information or help from you, that it's you?
Not always. Sometimes they do, yes, but not always. And it's not really necessary. It's not about me necessarily. It's I can share the energy and the love with the world, just as you might pray for world peace. Not everybody knows that you're praying, but you're praying and people will feel it. They certainly will. Pray for the upliftment, for example, of those you don't like. If there's a politician or somebody else, you say, well, I don't like that person. They're terrible. I hope they die. No, my dear friends, pray for their upliftment. Pray that they come to know their heart. Pray that they become become the brightest light shining in the world, giving love and care and consideration to the many rather than the few. That's what we would suggest here, you see. So yes, when I am speaking to people on the earth and working with them, it's a collective community here. Sometimes we are working collectively, certainly together. They are here with me now. Oftentimes they are collecting information to give to me so that I can distill it down into what you need to hear right here and now. But there's a lot of information, and we have a very short time period through the channel, and we don't take it lightly. We want to get the important information given as quickly as possible here. That's why I tend to speak rather quickly as well through Summer. But yes, it's a glorious opportunity to just be with the many, just to comfort and such during times of war. Comfort those who are leaving their bodies. We've got collective community here who their specialty, shall we say, is to help those who are crossing over during times of war specifically. There are others who work specifically with children who are crossing over when they are left alone, such as orphans and such. God bless you indeed. So there's lots of different communities doing different things, just as there is on earth. But the only difference is that we know that there is no such thing as death. That is only growth. So we're excited about the work that we do, and we love each other, and we walk into each other and experience in each other without hiding ourselves away. So it's a glorious existence where I am, and we'd love for you to experience on the earth as well. God bless you indeed. To realize everything that you see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and smell on the planet Earth is really you. It's just all out there for you to explore and to examine and to understand. And God bless you indeed. Does that help, my dear?
It does, Doctor. If there was one question that you wish I asked, because, there's time constraints, and is there a question that the collective is asking which you wish to answer?
No, not necessarily. We want for you to do the work. We want for you to come from your heart, you see. So it's not so much about our needs. We don't really, it would be hard to explain how it's not a need inside of us. It's not, oh, goodness gracious, well, that channeling session failed. You see, we don't look at it like that. We just see it as an excursion. It's a journey. It's so much fun. Even you're asking this of me currently. That was a wonderful question that you asked. Do you have a question, Dr. Peebles, that you would like to ask? You see, that was a question. So it's never is it wrong. Never is it not enough. God bless you indeed. It's also very beautiful. God bless you indeed. Do you understand, my dear? Yeah. And don't worry about the channel. We'll take good care of her. Yeah. God bless
Yes,
you indeed.
yes. Can you explain what is karma and soul contracts, and how can I liberate myself from them to fully enjoy my life?
Well, you don't have to experience it, for one thing. That's by choice. Do you understand this? You make a decision that you want to rectify something or whatever it might be with someone. So you, by choice, come back to experience that karma and to rectify things because you think that there was something wrong with what you did in that previous lifetime. But in truth, it was just something that you did. And if you feel the need to have some closure there and to have turnabout being fair play so that you can experience what they experienced, you killed somebody, so you say, all right, you kill me in this lifetime so that I can experience what you experienced, and it happens in the same way. Then you've experienced your karma because you just want out of curiosity to have that experience, but it's not necessary. You don't have to experience it. Soul contracts, well, we don't speak in those sorts of terms. Those are terms of humanity, which is understandable because everybody on the earth does like to compartmentalize things for their studies. But you can have a contract, but just as you can on earth with any sort of contract, you can break it if you want. You can say, I don't think I can follow through with this. I'm so sorry. I can't keep my word and such. So that does happen sometimes. And that can cause a little bit of upset within relationships and such. That's why some relationships that one person says, but I thought you were here with me for life. And the other person says, I thought so too, but I don't feel that way anymore. And so they grow and they go their way in peace, love, and harmony. But so there's lots of things, though, that you might have a contract or a deal with yourself. And you say, I'm going to come to the earth and I'm going to build skyscrapers. And then you get to the earth and you start doing that. And you say, something, this is rather boring. I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. Perhaps I'm going to steer clear of that now and change directions. And so you have always, if you will, the opportunity and choice to change directions. You see, through your choices and perceptions, you create your own reality. You really do. And we know that some people would say, why would I create this particular reality? Well, because you chose to be born into the family you were born into for reasons that, well, we couldn't explore them all because there's so many different people, so much diversity in life, you see. but you choose your journey, you choose your passions, you choose where you're going to put your attention in life, and for your own personal growth. And as far as we are concerned, it's all just one big, beautiful dance together. And eventually you come to learn that you are a beautiful spirit born of divine love. And you come back to that awareness of yourself. And then you go on to doing other things. God bless you indeed. And does that help, my dear?
That does, Doctor. Doctor, what is the purpose of romantic relationships in our life now?
Oh, goodness gracious, which one? You see, there are so many. And so it's certainly people are just simply drawn to each other for a variety of reasons. Sexually drawn to each other for wanting to grow in terms of the mental stimulation they might get from somebody, all sorts of relationships. But life in itself, you see, is about relationship. There's romantic relationships. There's a relationship that you have with the chair that you're sitting upon. There's a relationship that you have with the sky and the trees and the plants and the birds and everything in life. You have a relationship with all of it. You're constantly looking around you and scrutinizing things and thinking about things and overthinking things and that sort of stuff. And but by your nature, by being human, some of it is in many situations because you've been told since birth that you're going to find the one, and it's important that you do because you must get married and you must have children and such. There's lots of shoulds around your lives on the earth because of different ways in which different cultures are created and the way in which people choose to live their lives and share with their children and such. So that's a very broad question. It's an excellent question, though, my dear. It really is. But the true romance is with yourself, with God, with the light within. And once you find that, then you can just simply, if you will, be with anyone that you are with pure love in your heart. And you will find that you do not need anybody to complete you because they're already within you. And you're not separate from anyone. God bless you indeed. I am within you. You are within me, and we are as one in God. God bless you indeed.
Dr. Peebles, what is your definition of God now?
I don't have one particularly. God is love. That would be the best way to describe it. But who is God is a whole other thing. And how expansive is God is another thing. We are learning and growing just like you are, always. God is an infinite exploration of self. And wonder and beauty and light and possibilities and the possibilities that are endless. It is just a tremendous. Why would we want to put that in a box? You see, it's just it doesn't have an end to it. It's so beautiful, absolutely just glorious. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Peebles. I learned in Akashic when I did a reading that I had many lifetimes where I was suppressed by men, and it seems like a lot of the women who are incarnated on the planet too probably went through these suppressions under men. How am I supposed to use this information? Like, what are we supposed to do with this? How is our relationship towards men supposed to change, or towards me, myself, supposed to change?
Well, you know something, my dear, there's no real right or wrong in that. We couldn't say that there's a pat answer to it. It's what do you want? How do you want to live your life, you see? Some women do like to be suppressed by men. They prefer it. They feel their identity is that. And so they are comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so it's a matter of you found this out. Well, you can discard it now. You can say, is that the case? Okay, now I understand why I went through the things I went through. I'm repeating old patterns. I don't want to do it anymore. And so you just don't. And but if you put too much emphasis upon it, things that you find out about yourself, about your past lives and such, you can get entangled in that. It's like gum on your shoe. You can't get it off, you see, and you carry it with you everywhere and you put everything through that filter. And we would suggest not doing that, saying that was then, this is now. Who do I want to be here? Yeah? You understand?
Yeah, I understand,
God
Doctor.
bless you indeed. And if we were to answer, there are others here who are saying, God is you, God is me. God is the chair you are sitting upon. God is the air you breathe. Yeah?
Yeah.
God is
Doctor,
light.
God is light. Doctor, I heard you talking about all the things that's going to happen in the coming few years and that we are to prepare for it. What do you think is going to happen in the coming few years, and how are we supposed to prepare for that?
Well, what we suggest is to remember that you are here and now. This is it. Everything that you've ever done in your life, everything adds up to this moment right here, dear Tanya. You are talking to an old spook over the internet
Oh,
right here and now, and everything you've done in your life adds up to this. Not too bad of a moment, yeah? God bless you indeed. But for the things that are coming up, it's a matter of how you are going into your days, going into it with love, with clarity of who you are, as you are witnessing things around you that you might not like, that are very disturbing at times, you still can always go back into your heart and remember that you are birthed of love and proceed from there. How are you going to be in the world? What do you want to engage with? How do you want to engage with it? There are going to be upsets upon the planet Earth. And that's as old as time, you see. Are there going to be more wars? Yes, there are. Is there going to be a lot of discord? There is already and always will be for many years to come. But the good news is that you're all growing and laboring in love, and you are moving into a new dimension of understanding of love. And that's why it seems that all the creepy crawlers are being exposed at this given time. The light is shining much more brightly than it ever has before. So you are all moving towards the light. And that is the happy ending for everybody, is that everybody's going to, if you will, suddenly realize and awaken to the fact that they are birthed of love, that they are eternal, that there is no death. All these wonderful things that every person, no matter who they are, what country they live in, no matter what religion they study, will eventually come to understand this within themselves and know that everything is always in right order. So it's we ask that you shine your light brightly, and please don't give up. Those of you who have that love within your hearts, it's hard to stay on the earth. We know it. It's not an easy school, and it's not easy sticking around when the going gets tough, but we would ask that you do, please. You're helping and assisting us in keeping that light shining brightly as the planet Earth grows. God bless you indeed. And that's the tip of the iceberg. And my dear, is there anything further before we allow the dear channel to return? God bless you indeed, yeah.
Doctor, just one last question, which is, I keep hearing that you've got to surrender and listen to your heart, but I don't know how to do that. How can we do that more? How can we listen to our heart?
Practice. Yeah, you got to practice. You know your heart. You've got to listen to it. Your heart is, it might seem it's that still small voice within, but it's actually much louder than you think. And it's that part of you that said that it just was a little inkling that said, nah, it's not that person. I ought not be with them. Or, no, perhaps I don't need to go to the store today, even though I do need some soup in my pantry. But you feel no, or perhaps you get a feeling of needing to go outside at a strange time of the night, and you just happen to be there to help someone who's in need, who's crawling on the ground and hurting and bleeding, and they need your help. You see, there's ways in which you listen to your heart that does not always have words. It's not going to speak so loudly that it says, Tanya, here's what you need to do next. It might, but it's not always going to be loud like that. It comes in feelings. Your body is like an antenna, and it can pick up all sorts of information. The information highway is much, much more intense when you're just sitting with yourself in meditation, feeling into the world and the universe than it ever could possibly be on your internet. Your internet is just the smallest page in a book that is so huge and grand in terms of the information of the universe. If you sit and trust your heart, especially when it comes to the internet and things that you read and hear and see on there, trust your heart and what you say. I get a feeling that's not right. Well, trust that. More than often than not, it's going to be 100% accurate. So trust your heart, my dear, and know that you know. That's all you got to do, and get practicing that and trusting those little inklings. It starts with the little stuff, and then eventually you'll start to have these larger visions and awarenesses of your heart, who you are, what you're about, what you want, what you don't want. How often have, for example, many of you say, well, somebody says you want to go to the park, and you say, okay, yes, even though you don't want to. Well, you know your heart. Your heart says, I don't want to go. What's wrong with saying, no, I really don't? Well, because they're going to get mad at me. Well, you really need to go to the park. I want to go to the park, so you need to come with me. But I don't want to go to the park. But I do love you, so I do want to help you. And if you really want me to go to the park with you, then I will. You see, that's following your heart. You say, well, yes, I've got both these things. They seem to be conflicting, but the one that overrides the other is that I love this person and I will go to the park with them if that's what they really want. Then you discover you have a wonderful time because you followed your heart. You see? God bless you indeed. Does that help, my dear?
That does.
It's a tough topic, isn't it? It's a big one, and most human beings have a hard time with that. Yeah. So we describe it as simply as we possibly can to make it not such the big scary monster to overcome. Yeah. You're living with your heart all the time. You have it within you. All things are contained within you, not outside of you. You cannot pick up a pencil without it first happening inside of yourself. Then you materialize it on in the external world. God bless you indeed. Everything is contained within, and you are all very, very beautiful spirits. We love you so very much. To those who are listening here today, we send in our beautiful, loving regards to your soul for being willing to be upon this school called Planet Earth. Courageous individuals, each and every one, students of the divine. To thine own self be true. Continue in your journey to the heart and enjoy the journey, my dear friends. You are beautiful spirits. Your life is but an eye blink. So enjoy the journey while you can, and go your way in peace, love, and harmony, for life is indeed a joy, and all you have to do as you enjoy the journey to your own hearts, and certainly to your own enlightenment, is simply lighten up just a little bit more. God bless you indeed.
Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm back.
Wow. How are
How
you
did it go?
feeling?
I'm just still trying to find where you are there. I see
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you can take some time, just get back. Yeah. Yeah. You did go into
Yeah.
trance pretty fast, and you came out of it
Yeah.
also pretty fast. How do you feel?
Uh, Wiped out a
You're
little
still
bit, but
wiped out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like the feeling when I come out of trance is like I've been underwater for a really, really long time. If you've ever held your breath underwater and then you think, "Oh my goodness, am I going to make it to the surface in time?" And then you pop
Yeah.
up for that breath of air. It's like that. It feels like that. And yeah, and I'm tired, but it feels good. It's interesting when I come out of trance. Everything is so bright. Like the screen in front of me is really
Mm,
like the colors are so bright and
right.
popping. That always seems to be the way. And I always, when I come out of trance, I'm a little disoriented. I don't know where I am. Like I
Mm,
come out and I think I'm looking over there, but I'm looking over here. It's just so different.
Dr. Peebles was amazing. He's so full
Yeah.
of
Oh, good.
love. Oh my gosh. Like, can you imagine Dr.
Hmm.
Peebles in our house the whole time, just giving motivational speech, positive talks?
Yeah.
It's like, he's so amazing.
Yeah, yeah, he is. He really is. My friend Liz is here with me in the room today, and we were talking earlier about
Yeah.
the energy as it was building before the session or before the
Yeah.
or the podcast, and
Yeah.
it's just this huge, huge energy that comes in, and we were both sitting here going, "Whoa!" And I thought, I don't know if I can hold on here, because we can feel it gets full of spirit, and they have lives. A lot of people think they're just floating around and doing nothing, but
Yeah.
they actually have very active lives, and so I know that when I channel, that there are actually beings on the other side who come to watch. Like it's like something, an event that they like to go to. Oh yeah, Dr. Peoples is going to be channeling today, through summer,
Wow.
and so let's go watch. And so they gather around, and sometimes I'll hear my mom and dad saying, we're there, Sammy, and I'm like, oh, good. So
Oh,
it's if you can think in terms of the other side as being a place where people, we still are expressing ourselves. We're still growing. We don't change. We're not, I'm not, no, I'm like when I had my near death experience, it wasn't like I was no longer Summer. I was still me. I still had my thoughts. I still had everything. I was still all intact. And the only thing I didn't have was I didn't feel any pain or anything like that. So, it's amazing when you think about it, because people say, what do they do? And I don't know. I couldn't tell you what half the people are doing on the other side of the world right now, because I'm not them.
yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
doing a lot of stuff. They're doing a lot of really interesting things. I'm sure I'm not even, connected with and have no idea about. So,
I
yeah.
think Summer, this is probably like the first episode where I felt like the veil between the other side and this side was thin. Because when talking to you, it's like there's a family. The way Dr. Peoples talks, the way you talk about your family, and then the other side interacting with each other. It just felt like we were all together, and I've
That's
never
so beautiful.
felt. Yeah, I've never felt that before. So that was beautiful.
Wow. That
So I'm
is
gonna.
really, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you just two questions, which I ask my guests. So this is like a new segment that I'm starting. It's called the Cosmic Close, and
Hmm.
it's taking
I like that.
inspiration. Yeah, it's taking inspiration from Rupert Spera's book. So he's all about finding happiness. So the first question to you is, How do you think we can be free of suffering and find lasting peace and happiness?
By stop trying to change each other, and just enjoy the diversity and the unity that is within. That is our heart, our love, our ability to love and to dream and to have ideas, and just really stop trying to change each other. We don't all have to we don't all have to think or believe the same things in order to fit together. We can have a great time. I have a wide range of friends, atheists. I grew up with a friend who was a Swami,
Mm,
and great friend of the family, and people from all walks of life. But we get along because we love to listen to each other. We love to learn from each other. That's
beautiful.
what I
I
would
love the
say. Yeah.
answer.
Thank you.
My next question is, and the last one, how do we define what is real in our life?
I don't think defining it is a good idea. I think everything is real. I think when you finally let go of having to define anything is where you find those things that seem to be hidden, but they're there all the time. Like air has substance to it. You think it's empty space, but if you really stare into the space, you'll start to realize there's movement there. You might even see spirits there. It's when you don't define it that it becomes this amazing thing. It's getting all those shoulds out of our lives that will free us up to all the possibilities. How do you see UFOs? You gotta
Hmm,
believe, and you suddenly your vibration changes and shifts, and there you are being able to see the UFOs because you're resonating with them, and so it really frees you up, really frees you up.
beautiful. Beautiful
Yeah.
answer. Thank you so much,
Thank
Summer.
you.
Can you tell us
Thank
where we
you.
can find you and the beautiful work that you do?
Oh, yes. My website is summerbacon.com. Summer like the season, bacon like the food. Somebody got mad at me for saying bacon like the food because of the animals, but
Oh,
it's just to
yeah.
describe my name. So, and it's so that people know how to spell it. So summerbacon.com. And I just want to make it clear, I'm no longer doing private sessions anymore, but I
Hmm.
do have all of these beautiful messages from Dr. Peebles on MP3s. You can hear little snippets of them, and they're just real inexpensive. I just love getting his beautiful messages out to the world when you're kind of feeling down and you just need a little upliftment. And when you think it's, oh, what's the point of anything? Just listen to one of
Hmm.
those and you'll really, really feel good. Feel like, oh, there I am. I'm back. He makes it okay to be you. And so, enjoy that. And I do have some books on there. There's a book of quotes by Dr. Peebles, and then my autobiography, if you want to read about my crazy life. It's really fun.
I wanted to get your autobiography, but it would arrive only by the 30th of September, and our
Yeah,
podcast is
yeah.
happening earlier, so that's why I couldn't get it. I got the school called Planet Earth, and I'm still reading
Uh-huh.
it. Beautiful book, amazing book.
Oh,
I love what
good.
you wrote in that.
Oh, thank you.
And do you have any final advice for us, Summer?
I just always say, don't give up. Just don't
Yeah.
give up on yourself, and don't be afraid to be you. I mean, really, I think that's the thing that messes things up so badly is people are so afraid of what other people think about them. But if your heart is in the right place, there's nothing to be afraid of. And not everybody's going to like you, you know.
Mm.
Not everybody's going to want to hang out with you, and that's okay. The more you're real with, yourself, and the more you give to the world of who you are, the more you'll find yourself in the community of people that really resonate with you, that you can really enjoy. And that's what I'm so blessed with. Oh my gosh. Like you. I got you.
Oh, thank you so much, Summer. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for speaking to
Thank you,
us. I had
Tanya. Thank
such a
you. It's
blast
been a
today.
pleasure. Thank you. I feel
Thank you.
very blessed. Thank you.